Hi, my name's Enda Murray. I'm the director of the Irish Film Festival. I'm delighted to be joined tonight by Paddy Slattery, the writer and director of Broken Law. Paddy, you're very welcome. Good night or good morning it is to you in County Offaly.
As Paul Brady would say, good morning, that sergeant did cry. Sorry, see, I'm still in the old singing mood because I was at a wild out session in Donegal over the weekend. It was a few sing songs, so if I spontaneously burst into song mid-answer, that's why. But good afternoon, sir, good evening, or good night. How are you getting on?
You're forgiven. You're in good voice. We're doing good here in Sydney. That's an amazing film, Broken Law. Congratulations. I wanted to ask you how the film came about. Tell us the story of Broken Law.
Oh my God. Well, it's a long, convoluted story, but I'll give you the very nutshell version. For anyone that doesn't know, see, I'm a wheelchair user. I was in a car crash when I was 17, and somehow over the following years, I developed a draw for films and filmmaking, and I suddenly had this desire to make a movie. If I was not going to be on the earth for a long time, I wanted to do something wild and adventurous while I was here, and filmmaking was top of my list. So I had actually been working on a script for a year or two, and I parked it on the shelf. And what I decided to do then was go and learn how to make films. So over the following 10 years, I made short films and that kind of stuff. And I came back to this original draft of a feature film idea that I had, which was it was like Magnolia, like Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia. It was an epic film with about 20 characters in it. Now, obviously, I couldn't raise the money to make that, so myself and my producer Simon Doyle, we worked on the script with script editors, and I fell in love with the story, the dynamic between the two brothers on opposite sides of the law, and I guess I went on the road to making like a what would you call, like a crime thriller set in Ireland. And yeah, in 2018 we shot it and premiered last year just as COVID hit. So our timing was good. We escaped by the skin of our teeth last year.
I noticed a few of the characters in the film, John Connors and Tristan, and also let me get my notes here. Graham. Could you tell us how that group got together? Did you know some of those guys before?
Well, the thing is, I had worked with each of the lads before on previous short films. And now the only one in that group I hadn't worked with before was actually Graham, who plays the brother Joe. But it was actually John Connors who said to me, he said, look, I've worked with Graham Early before on another feature film on Cardboard Gangsters. Have a look at his work. And I watched a few snippets of his work and I said, right, this lad has what I need. So yeah, we came together there, like I said, in maybe mid 2018, and we knocked it out of the park. But the lads are great. Like, John Connors, I think people will be familiar with him from Love Hate and Cardboard Gangsters and stuff like that. But he's an incredible force, and if you can channel that energy, you're on a winner.
Yeah, we actually featured John's documentary last year. I was very impressed with his acceptance speech, 2018, at the IFTAs, and he made a statement there about creativity and how it had saved him. Was that something that you'd seen also? Do you want to tell anything about that?
I love John, and for anyone that hasn't seen that particular speech that you're talking about, you'll find it on YouTube. And if you're not inspired by it, you may check your pulse. And John and I have the same philosophies when it comes to creativity, art, filmmaking, whatever you want to call it. And filmmaking, in many ways, it kind of saved my life because, like I said there, not long after finding out I was never going to walk again, what film gave me was a license to fly, to disappear into my imagination, where there's no rules, no boundaries, and there's no physical restrictions. So filmmaking means a little bit more to people like John and I, and that's why it's not working with John. It feels like an exercise in spirituality when you're making a film together. And I know how pretentious that might sound, but it really is like that. So like John, like if you see his character in Broken Law, Wallace, he's such a complex character, a lovable rogue in a way, but that's only a drop in the ocean as to what John can do as an actor himself. He's got an incredible range, and that's because he has access to this honesty and sincerity in his heart, and he's a true artist. And I think that might John might tell you that probably comes from his traveler background, because what the one great thing about travelers traditionally is that they're great storytellers and they have a great way of accessing the truth. And they're very honest. They don't have a filter, just like John. And like I said, if you can channel that energy, you're going to tell some interesting stories.
Very good. That's incredible. Making a feature, first feature in Ireland. How was your experience there? Is it a tough thing to do?
You know, it is tough because it's a relatively small industry and there's not much money going around, you know. And so I've always had this sort of independent spirit that if I can't get the finance, we'll beg, steal, or borrow. We'll get it done somehow. So the toughest part of it was trying to raise not just the finance to make it, but the confidence in people to come on board of a first time feature. So it was tough. I'll be honest. We had a few false starts. Um, there was times when I looked myself in the mirror and thought, "What are you doing?" Because it was wearing me out trying to get it going. But eventually, the train left the station, and you know yourself. Once that train leaves the station, there's no stopping it. It's like hang on for dear life, or get out of the way. And that's the way it was. Once one domino fell, the rest of it fell into place. Thank God.
And Gemma Lee Devereaux, we are going to be talking with Gemma re her own film. But do you want to say how she got on board the project?
Yeah, I had worked with Jamalia on a short film. I produced a short film that was actually written and directed by Tristan Henu, who's our lead actor. And he cast Jamalia in that short film. So I got to know Jamalia during that production, and she has an incredible range as an actor. In fact, The Bright Side, which has only been released to cinemas recently, I'd highly recommend if anyone hasn't seen it, when it does come out, have a look at it because I think she's definitely one of Ireland's brightest acting stars. And yeah, it was a pleasure to work with her. And yeah, we were very lucky when it came to the talent because you know yourself when you're making a feature film on a shoestring budget, you really can't afford to hire the best talent in the country unless you get extremely lucky. And with all of our top cast, from Gary Lydon, who played Sergeant Byrne, to Ali Niker, who played the mother, Irene, everyone was extremely generous with their time, and I guess that's what made it possible for us to get it done.
Um, I was going to ask you a question about Ireland has seen its fair share of bad gangsters in the recent past. What do you say? Like, how do you reconcile the idea, the issue of portraying the reality of what's going on in the streets, but not fall into the trap of painting some of the gangsters as heroic characters?
Yeah. Well, look, as far as I'm concerned, it's easy to use gangster tropes in movies, and the reason it's easy is because it's you know people like that live very extreme lives. They're seldom living boring lives, but sometimes, sadly, it might end in trauma or tragedy very soon. And the only reason I felt, I guess, attracted to the idea of that moral ambiguity between two brothers, Dave and Joe, is because, not to judge anybody, but there's a little bit of a gangster in all of us. And sometimes when you lead a life governed by rules and restrictions, there's a little rebel inside us that wants to sort of break away and stand up for itself and do what it feels is right, morally right and ethically right, despite what a government might tell us. And I guess I wanted to explore that in the characters. And like, there's no straight-laced villain in our film, and there's no straight-laced hero. Everyone has the potential to be all ends of the spectrum, and that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's more true to reality than me making a Godfather 5. You know what I mean? It's we're all human beings at the end of the day, and given a certain set of circumstances, we'll more than likely do something that may not resonate with what we believe is right, but in that moment, given all the emotional tools, we'll do it because we believe in X, Y, or Z. And in this case with Joe and Dave, they believe in family loyalty above everything else, even above the law. And that was their loyalty to each other that actually led them down this convoluted path of crime or whatever. And you know, it's like I said, it's easy to fall into the trap of tropes, but as far as I'm concerned, Broken Law could be a biography, on another day,
Um, if you had a time again, is there anything in Broken Law that you'd change when you've seen it on the screen with the audience? Were there any parts that you'd change? Or
I think most, if not all, filmmakers are a little bit like that. You'd love to get in and tweak things and change things, but no, I'm of the philosophy that you do what you can with what you have at any given moment, and then you've got to separate it from your, like, you've got to divorce yourself from it, hand it over to the universe, and take it or leave it. So if there are problems up on that screen, I love those problems on the screen. My writing's not perfect. My direction, I was learning as I was going. Ideally, we could have done a few things differently, but I love those problems. I love those mistakes because they were all part of the learning experience for me. And they're actually going to motivate me on my next film to get it right, to do it better the next time. So yeah, although there's an ego inside me that would love to fix things and do things differently, no, I love Broken Law for all its beauty and all its flaws. And if people can get on board with it for those reasons, then great. I've done my job.
what for you? What was the most enjoyable aspect of putting the film together?
But there's something amazing about being able to come up with an idea, right? There's a blank page, whether it's digital or paper, right? And it's blank, and you're the one that has to bring your imagination to the table and create a scenario, a story or whatnot, where there's this conflict between all manner of characters. And it starts off very innocently at that stage. But then when you find yourself on set, shooting a scene, and you've got about 100 people, cast and crew, standing around you, everybody working and pulling together to make your film, your idea. And you know what? It's an overwhelming experience. And I looked around on many occasions when we were shooting, and I'm thinking, wow, this is what it's like to be a filmmaker. You feel like you're living the dream. You feel like the captain of a ship, and everyone's looking to you for guidance and direction. And for me in my life, I felt for many years in my life, especially after the car crash, that much of that control was out of my life. Not many people came to me for guidance. But as soon as people look at you as a writer and a director, they come to you for advice and they come to you for guidance in all manner of ways. And that felt good to me spiritually. It felt inspiring, and I think that's going to be the fuel in my engine going into the next one. I want that feeling again, that people can come to me in order to tell a story and trust me in the process.
So, have you got another idea, another project in mind?
I have indeed. I have a few ideas cooking up in the pot, and the next one, I think, you know what, without ruining the premise, because I have a few different ideas in mind, but there's one in particular that I'm going to make next, and it's a drama, and I feel that if I make films for the next 40 years of my life, no matter what I do, I think this next one, because it's quite personal, I think this is the one people are going to look to me and say, well, this is the one you were born to make. So I'm extremely excited about this one, and I'm going to put all my heart and soul into it. So right now I'm working on the script. So in a few months' time, hopefully I'll have a draft. And next year, God willing, touch wood, I'll be out there raising the money and getting back on the saddle and making it.
Fantastic. Paddy, thanks a million for giving us the time, and congratulations on the film again, and good luck. And hoping next year we'll see the next project, and maybe you might even get out to us.
Oh my God, listen, I'm only raging. I would have loved any excuse to get over there to Australia and have the crack, watch the films, have an next year, please God.
Thanks a million, Paddy. All the best.
My pleasure. Thank you.